Hello Enchanted ones. Today I will be showing you how I made over this special book. That is not just any book, it is my new Book of Shadows. Now that it is February, the days are getting longer and I can feel the life of spring getting nearer and nearer. The feeling of new life makes me want to burst and start new crafts and goals. January was a month of sleep for me, but it is now the time I want to do something to start fresh this year. I already have a beautiful Book of Shadows. However, I feel I am a lot different to when I started this book and that I needed a fresh start. So I purchased a new book, but it was a little plain for me, and I wanted to decorate it with something meaningful, and I knew just the place to go for inspiration, so let me take you there. You are probably aware of this little stream I found within the woods recently. However, last week I was exploring the stream further and I came across a doorway, and this doorway was made entirely from draping ivy. Walk through this ivy and you will be transported to the quirkiest place. It is full of silver birches that are so charming and hold such personality. And in the middle, a huge fallen fir tree in which is a lovely place to sit and listen to the trickling stream. I could imagine a little fairy living here, so of course, I have named this place Fairy's Den. There are so many things that enchant me in Fairy's Den, but through all the quirkiness, the ivy stands out the most. Its twisting, clinging nature, climbing in some of the strangest of places, really brings a story-like quality here. It is known to be the plant that's energy rids toxicity and cleanses, and I feel I am bound to its beauty. So it was time to bring my inspiration to life. I started to craft my new Book of Shadows. On the first day, I did what I do to all my books, the leathering effect. This is where I build up a layer of foam on the front and back of the book and then cover this in 3 layers of tissue paper with glue. Look closer and you will see tiny wrinkles in the tissue paper. Once dry, this will look like leather. I also rolled out small pieces of clay and made a twisting vine pattern on the spine of the book, and I left this to dry overnight. The next day, it was time to get to work on the ivy. First, I wanted to recreate the vines with wire. So I cut out 4 long pieces and then twisted them together. I then added 1 new piece of wire at a time, twisting it down the main piece of wire and then trailing it off where I wanted a leaf of ivy to go. I repeated this many times all the way down and duplicated this whole process again twice with 2 smaller vines. The next step was to cover this wire in my new but amazing craft find, florist's tape. This becomes activated when you stretch it. It hardens very well and comes in so many different colours. I then glued the finished vines onto the book with a glue gun. And it was time to paint. I covered the whole book in brown paint and then stubbled black paint around the edges to give it a vintage look. I then added detail to the vines and painted the clay on the seam gold. I also mixed silver with green to make this gorgeous metallic colour and painted the edges of the book, squeezing them shut to not allow any paint to get through. Now the basic shape of the book was complete. It was missing the most important thing, the ivy. And to recreate this, I used green felt. Using real ivy as a guide, I sketched many different shapes and sizes. And cut all these little beauties out. But remember, I wanted these to be enchanted. So I took out some gold embroidery thread and stitched around the leaves using an outline stitch. This process was the most time-consuming, but the most therapeutic. I found that with embroidering each leaf, I had created their own little personality and brought each one to life. I then arranged the leaves onto the book and glued them down by turning the small pieces of vine upside down and waiting until it was dry. The final thing I added to the book was a gold clasp to secure the book shut, and this was using the same method as the ivy vines. I cut out 4 pieces of wire and then twisted them together, making a little ivy shape at the top. I then covered this in white florist's tape and painted it a regal gold. And I made another. I then attached them to the back of the book with a glue gun, and it was the final thing it needed. Well, kind of. It was a finished book, but it needed a mark. So I cut out a piece of foam and then equal to this a piece of felt. I stitched upon the felt my name and of course a little golden oak leaf, and then glued the felt onto the foam. I then outlined this bookmark in gold thread and lastly made something for it so it would never get lost within my book. I cut out 20 pieces of equal sized gold thread and then tied them together in the middle. I then created a loop with a separate piece of thread and put this in the middle of the thread and tied it to secure. Then twisted plenty of string around all of the threads and secured it with a blob of glue from the glue gun. Can you tell what it is yet? Now the book is finished. It is time to reveal it to you. However, I wanted to go somewhere extra special to not only get your approval, but a little fairy's also. Through the ivy I pushed to greet the den before me, and place the book within it for all to see. I am so pleased with the result. It is not only sturdy, but it is just the vision I had in my head before I created it. It looked as if it had been found here within the ivy, a lost book, so secret with its golden clasps. So I sat with it, my first goal of the year completed, and looked at the stream before me, a stream I have only recently named, and I would like to thank you all for your suggestions as they were all truly magical. However, there had to be only one name, so I have decided to name it Whispering Waters. Of course, your Book of Shadows can be anything you'd like it to be, and I would love to hear about yours in the comments below. I cannot wait to show you what I have in store for this book, Enchanted Ones. I never did meet the fairy who lives here, but I hope she approved of my book, and I do hope I meet her one day. On the other hand, perhaps that fairy is No, I don't think so. Thank you for watching, Enchanted Ones. All my love, Alwyn.